Welcome, lovely students. I welcome you to today's lesson, which we are going to be treating the topic sewing machines. Lovely, right? So, let's take a look at the topic outline. We are going to be looking at one, the types of sewing machine, the different parts of sewing machine, functions of the parts of the sewing machine, guidelines for choosing a sewing machine, and care of the sewing machine. Apart from making garments by hand stitches, the use of sewing machines goes a long way in making garment constructions faster and easier. However, a sewing machine cannot be effectively utilized without adequate knowledge of its part, use, and care. So let's look at the types of sewing machine. There are different types of sewing machine. Basically, they are all similar in functions. They may differ in the ways they are operated and the number of stitches. Okay, so there are three main types of sewing machines, and they are: one, the hand sewing machine. This type of machine is operated with one hand. One hand operates the machine while the other hand guides the fabric during sewing. It can be placed on the table, floor, or any flat surface that is convenient for the user. It operates without electricity, so it could be used anywhere. However, more energy is spent during operation. Okay, remember, it is also time consuming when compared to the electric sewing machine. So now let's look at the other type of sewing machine. It is called foot or treadle sewing machine. Okay, this type of machine is operated with the feet. Although you can use one foot, two hands are free to guide the fabric during sewing. It is fixed on a special stand that normally comes with the machine. It can operate with or without electricity. This machine is very popular. Next is your electric sewing machine. This type of machine uses electricity to operate. It can be equipped with a special stand, or it may be placed on a table. To use this machine, one leg presses the electric motor while the two hands guide the fabric. It does not require much energy to operate and it sews faster. The disadvantage is that it can only be used where there is electricity. Now let's take a look at the parts of the sewing machine and their function. Okay, a standard sewing machine is equipped with many parts that serve specific purpose, and those parts include: one, the presser screw or bar. This is used to prevent difficulties in the tension of the machine. Okay, so there will not be tension while using the machine. The next part we are going to be looking at is called your spool pin. This holds the sewing thread in position. So when you check your machine and you see that part that holds your sewing thread, which is on top in this picture, that is called your spool pin. The next part we are going to be looking at is the balance wheel. The balance wheel sets the machine in motion. That handle that you can turn is what we refer to as the balance wheel. It helps to set the machine in motion. The next part we are looking at is your stop motion screw. This puts off the machine. It can also be used when threading the what? Bobbin. Okay, you use it to stop what? The machine. That's the main function, to stop the machine. Next is your bobbin winder. This is used to wind the thread onto the bobbin by loosening the motion screw. The thread is fixed to the bobbin winder spool at the base of the machine. The next part is what we call your stitch regulator. This is numbered and it is used to determine the length of stitch that is suitable for different types of material. The needle should be raised to the highest point before operating the stitch regulator. Next is what we call your tension disc or your screw. These are used to control the tightness of the thread when sewing. So when you want your thread to be very tight, you can use the tension disc or the screw. The next part we'll be looking at is your presser foot. The presser foot is used to hold the material in position during sewing. Okay, and also we have the presser foot lever. This is used to raise or lower the presser foot during sewing. The next part is feed plate. This helps to pass the material through during sewing without pulling it unless the material is too thick. Pulling the material through the feeder changes the stitch length. Okay, next is what we call shuttle. The shuttle can also be called your bobbin case. This holds the threaded bobbin in position ready for sewing. The bobbin thread must be brought through the top of the machine before stitching. Alright, the next is bobbin. This is used for winding the thread. Okay, so after winding the thread in the bobbin, you put it inside the shuttle or bobbin case. The next part is what we call the needle clamp. The needle clamp is where the needle is fixed. As you can see in the picture, where you fix your needle is where we call needle clamp. The next part we are going to be looking at is called thread guides. This supports and guides the thread from the spool down to the presser feet. They also prevent the thread from twisting. Okay, but the main purpose is to guide the thread from the spool down to the presser feet. Now let's take a look at the guidelines for choosing a machine. When you want to choose a machine, what do? First is choose a sewing machine that the spare parts and regular maintenance are always available. 2. Choose a machine that is best suitable for the purpose of buying it. 3. Know how to use the machine properly before leaving the dealer's shop. Okay. Consider your cash at hand. Choose the best your money can afford. Alright. Next, you can choose a simple machine that is quite adequate for most stitches and it's easily transported and stored. Lastly, ensure that all the parts and accessories of the type of machine you have chosen are in place because they vary according to the maker. Now, let's look at care of the sewing machine. It is important to know how to keep the machine in good working order so as to serve you better. 1. Always cover the machine when not in use. 2. Oil regularly, but ensure that all oil is wiped away before using. 3. Always read the manufacturer's instruction carefully before use. 4. Tighten loose screws of the machine before use. 5. Leave the presser foot down when the machine is not in use. 6. Disconnect plugs and fold them after the use of an electric machine. Then, create a sewing center or room to avoid moving or carrying the machine about. Also, remember to service the machine, and this should be done by an expert or the manufacturer's representative. Now we have come to the end of this lesson. Feel free to ask any question you don't understand concerning this topic. Also attempt the questions on your content pages and quizzes. Bye! And remember, hard work pays.